Hey all you photographers out there, today's tutorial is for you. We're talking about editing greens, and I'm going to show you how to get your perfect dreamy green and how to create a Lightroom preset of your very own so that those dreamy greens are always just a click away. Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Shayda. So in today's tutorial, it's a Tuesday video, a bonus video, so we are going to do something a little different. With that said, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, otherwise you'll never know when these bonus videos are coming out. I only do about one a month and they're totally random, so subscribe. Okay, moving on. For something different, we're gonna do a bit of a Lightroom tutorial, and we're gonna talk about how to edit greens so that you can get these really beautiful, dreamy, light-filled, luminescent greens. But we're also gonna talk about the bigger basics of Lightroom, how to create a preset, and how to edit to create your own unique style, simply and easily, and then recreate that style, simply and easily. So if you're a photographer, a blogger, a content creator, or just someone who wants to develop their Instagram presence and style, this is the tutorial for you. I think a few years ago when we all jumped on Instagram, we were so obsessed with all the crazy filters like Valencia, Amaro, I can't remember any other ones. And then a lot of people sort of went very light and bright, and I think that was a response to all the crazy filters, is that we all wanted this more natural look and very unfiltered, unedited look, although of course they were edited. And now I've noticed that even the influencers that I follow that were very light and bright and white, you know, those very white Insta themes, a lot of people have sort of gone in different directions, and I've seen a lot of like peachy beachy and cool and moody and all sorts of different styles. And I think that for anybody who has a theme that's very like gold and glittery or pink hued and warm, sometimes greens can be really problematic, especially you're out on the lawn, you're doing a stylized picnic. People that don't blog are like, what? Why would you style a picnic? That's crazy. But whatever. For everyone else who's out there styling their lunch and then photographing it for Instagram, let's talk. So you're out there and you get these crazy saturated greens because of the grass and the trees. So today we're going to talk about how you can lighten them up, add some luminance, and kind of wash those greens out as well. But through this tutorial, we're going to cover a lot of Lightroom basics so that you can create the preset that's right for you. If you're getting started as a photographer and you're like, whoa, Lightroom, Adobe, I don't have that, you can actually get Lightroom straight from the Adobe website. They've got a monthly subscription for 10 bucks a month-ish. You can always have the updated version, so it's pretty affordable. I'll link that in the video description below. And for anyone who really likes my presets that I'm about to create, make sure you watch until the end of today's video because you can nab them for yourself. I'm gonna tell you how, and you won't have to pay for like super expensive fancy presets. You can get mine and you can definitely create your own. So let's jump in. Oh, P.S. Just got a new computer. Did you see that thing? So crazy. So last weekend, Chris and I went on this amazing hike through the forest.
Chris and I are out hiking today. It's gorgeous in the woods, so I brought a dress. I'm gonna take a photo of myself in this really pretty sun-dappled, very green forested area.
I pretty much just put the dress on over my clothes, my hiking clothes, and we took a bunch of photos. Nothing too crazy or staged, just me in the forest. And you can see the colors were really beautiful, but we can always make our greens better and more personal. And that's exactly what we're gonna do today. So welcome to my desktop. I'm just opening up Lightroom. Lightroom is an Adobe photo editing software. I will link it in the description. You can get a trial or you can get a subscription, a monthly subscription for 10 bucks a month. Okay, so I've got all the photos I took in a folder here labeled Trail, and there's about 75 of them. You can see the greens are actually quite nice. The way the sun was hitting the leaves and all the foliage, it illuminated and it gave almost the dreamy greens that you're seeking when you edit. But we're gonna talk more about that later. Sometimes you have a really ugly, super saturated green with no sunlight hitting it, and that's when you really want your preset to do the job. So we took a whole bunch, different angles, or sort of different framing. And when you're photographing, especially on manual, it's always a good idea to try a few different f-stops and different shutter speeds so that you just switch up that exposures ever so slightly, and then you can choose your best edits in computer. Now what I'm doing here, and this is just a workflow thing, is now that I can see all the photos, I go through and when I find one I love, I give it a 5-star rating, or even one that I kind of like. I'll click that star on the bottom there, those 5 stars, and I'll mark the photos that I like as a 5-star. Then when I've gone through all of them, all 75, I click Command L to put library filters on. You can also just go up to File, Library Filters, Enable Filters, and then you want to go Filter by Rating, 5-star, and then you can see here I've got 4 photos that I really liked, and then I'm able to choose the best 1 or 2. When I can see all 4 good ones beside each other, that really helps me to choose the best and get rid of the 1 or 2 that are not quite as strong. So I'm gonna narrow these down, and then we are going to talk about editing our greens and how to create that perfect preset. At this point, we'll move from the library menu to the develop menu, and we are going to do the most important edits of all, and that is crop and straighten. So right now I want to do a photo for Instagram, so I'm going up to crop and I'm selecting a 1:1, which is a square, and then you can see me moving the crop around here. Have you guys heard of the rule of thirds? You see how the photo is divided into 3 sections, both in the vertical and the horizontal? Well, the rule of thirds says that the subject matter should always be where those lines intersect. So there are 4 places where those lines intersect, so I always want my subject in one of those crosshairs, sort of. So you can see me here, I'm trying to get myself sort of out of the middle. The trees that I like, the way I like this crop, I sort of end up in the middle, and that's not so great. I don't like to place a subject in the middle, so I'm just sort of playing around. You don't always have to pay attention to the rules, but especially when you're getting started, rule of thirds, very helpful. It's just very pleasing to the human eye. So we've got that one cropped. We don't really need to straighten this one. It looks pretty straight. We don't have a horizon line. That's funny. This second photo, I am doing a crop for YouTube, which is a 16:9. That's my sort of thumbnail crop, and I've got myself in the crosshairs again there, and so I'm happy with that. And if you did need to straighten your photo, when you have the crop tool open, you can use that angle slider there just to make sure that everything is straight. If you have a horizon, it's important that it looks straight or that it looks natural. And then we're all good. We can move along to color editing because we have cropped and straightened. And cropping is part of the basic edits menu, all the things that are right up at the top here. Things like the color sliders, you can slide your photo into that really cool range or that warm range. This is sort of quick editing stuff if you always want to give your photo a little extra warmth. This is also where the exposure is. You can up the exposure or darken the photo. You might change the contrast, go really low contrast or really high contrast. You can play around with things in here like the highlights, the shadows, the clarity, the saturation. So these basic edits that are right up at the top, these are all great for sort of just putting a little quick polish on a photo, and they're always really helpful, really useful. I tend to always up the exposure ever so slightly, and I tend to like just a hint more contrast and a little extra clarity, nothing dramatic. So those are basic edits, but today what we really are going to be discussing is this menu down here. This is the Hsl Color Menu that stands for Hue, Saturation, Luminance. You can see there's a whole rainbow here, and I'm able to change things up, one color at a time. Now first is the saturation right in the middle. If I pull it all the way to the right, it's super saturated. All the way to the left, it drains all the green, and you can see it's only changing the green. No other colors change. My skin tone stays the same. Now if I move over to the luminance, I can make the greens very, very dark, suck all the light out of them. Or if I pull it to the right, I can make them really, really bright, add more white, more light into the greens. Again, no other colors are changing, and I can do that for every separate color. I can darken my greens and lighten my reds, or I can oversaturate my blues and undersaturate my greens. Now the hue menu, this one is really fun. We can change the hue of each color, so we can make our greens really, really blue, we can make them minty and cool by adding extra blue in, or we drag it the other way and we add yellow and we make them really warm, sort of a little bit old-timey. So it's a pretty powerful tool, this Hsl Color Menu. As you can see, you can change things so specifically, it's incredible. So what I am going to do is slide that green hue slider more into the cool, into the blue, so that my greens get a bit mintier. I really have a cool toned Instagram and YouTube. Then I'm gonna go to the saturation slider. I'm gonna slide the green down, so I want it a little less saturated. I want my greens washed out. Green tends to look strong in a photo, and I don't like that, at least for my brand, my look. And then I'm going to the luminance and I'm adding some light into the green, which will also help to wash out the color. So I don't really want dark, bright, saturated colors. That's just not my look. But if that is what you want, then you're basically gonna do the opposite here. And then I'm playing around with them. I'm adding a little more green or adding a little more blue and adding a little bit less saturation. I'm just gonna play with them until I get it perfect. Come back up here. I added a little more contrast, you know, so you can play around with those basic edits, but it's really fun. You can just test it out, experiment. I'm gonna export this photo. We'll call it cool green, so I'll know what that one is. And I'm just gonna throw that on the desktop or into a folder. And then we are gonna make a preset so that I can always get these same edits. So we come over here to the other side of the screen, the left-hand side. On this area, there is a presets menu. You're gonna click the plus sign, create preset, and then you get to name your preset. I'm just gonna call it like cool green or something like that that will help me remember what this preset is all about. And you can see Lightroom is actually capturing all the edits that you've already made. They're all checked off there, and it's gonna remember them. Click create, and that is a preset you can use for any photo file. All right, and then I'm gonna jump back over to that 16:9 image, the other image that I chose, and we're just gonna play around with some sort of opposite edits. I'm using the hue slider and I'm taking this one into these really warm, almost vintagey greens. They get very vintagey, especially when you take that saturation slider down. I still love those washed out greens, and you get this very nostalgic look or a warmer look. If your Instagram is on the warmer side, this might be the way to edit greens that you choose. And I sort of toggle a bit between hue and saturation, and then I'll check the luminance. I actually might take the luminance down ever so slightly because these are very washed out greens. And then I go up to my basic edits menu, check the contrast, the highlights, and just play around with those a little bit, look at my details a little bit. And then I'll just go up to file and export, and I'm gonna throw that one on the desktop as well. And then of course I'm going to create a preset for these edits as well. So we go to preset on the left. If it's not open, it doesn't matter if you have the menu open or not, but you can see all your presets. Go to the plus sign, create, and this one we'll call something easy to remember like warm greens or whatever. But we're saving all these edits so that we can use them again and again on any photo that we bring into Lightroom. So we'll click create and save our warm washed out green preset. And then if we go to another photo, say the first photo, our square crop for Instagram, that one's very cool. All we do is go down to the warm washed out green preset and boom, now this one is warm washed out green as well. So that's how wonderfully the presets work. All you have to do is click it and it has saved and remembered all your edits, and it performs all the edits for you in one click. So let's recap our photos. We got some beautiful washed out minty greens, some nostalgic washed out warm greens, both of which I really like, but I prefer the minty green, the cool green. Here's another example photo. This one, it's like so green and I want to edit it. I want to tone those greens down. So I've got my cool washed out green and my warm washed out green, and it's really giving a little bit more care to that photo. Another example here, this one I really changed it up. So it's taken from just this photo of a potato field flower, and it's changed it into something that really has a little more character and style. So the power of editing in Lightroom. Yes, I am that weird person that parks their car on the side of the road to take pictures of potato flowers. Okay guys, thank you for watching this week's bonus video. Make sure you subscribe so that you always know about these Tuesday bonus videos when they come out. And grab these presets for yourself. Just click the link in the video description. They are posted on my Patreon page because that's just a really great place for me to post content, but they are free, so you don't need to sign up for Patreon if you don't want to. These are free for everybody. Okay, I will see you Friday. Thanks for watching.